What if I told you that there is an indicator out there that almost none of your favorite traders are using, almost nobody talks about it, but if you're not using it, in my opinion, you are literally trading blind, and this could be a massive game changer for your trading. It's an indicator that I discovered not too long ago that fit with my strategy, and it literally tells you where people are placing their orders. Not even an exaggeration, it literally does that. Yeah, so if you're trading ICT, if you trade liquidity, if you trade supply and demand, all of these strategies that basically guess where orders are going to be based on the chart, that no longer has to happen. You will literally know where orders are on your chart. So if that sounds interesting to you, all I ask is if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you don't, you're cursed for 10 years with bad trading. Comment down below what you think, and of course, subscribe to the channel and join our free Discord, which is absolutely free and designed like the best firms on Wall Street to help you improve on your trading. So now, before I show you this indicator, it's really important that you understand how I trade and the logic behind what moves the market. So the way that I trade a mix of supply and demand and liquidity, and I combine the two to basically try to find where are the most orders sitting. So up until I discovered this indicator, I was essentially guessing by using footprints on the chart, right, where the history of the chart, to basically guess where the smart money would be entering the market and where the points of imbalance were. So I'm going to run you through two examples of trades that I actually took using this strategy. I'm going to break down the trades, the logic behind the trades, and then I'm going to show you the indicator that basically told me that these trades specifically were going to work. So let's take a look at the first trade here. And what we'll notice is that we have a level of demand resting just here. Now, if you don't know what demand is, it's basically just an area where price skyrocketed away from, where there was a massive amount of buy orders that flooded the market. You basically mark out the candle just before that massive imbalance to the upside. So this is what we call a level of demand. Now, what I also like to see is a level of liquidity. What is a level of liquidity? It's just clear lows and clear highs. So in this instance, I'm looking for clear lows because this is where traders are going to be placing their stop losses. And it depends on how you really want to do it, but you could argue that both of these areas are levels of liquidity. Okay, we have a clear low here. So what happens? Traders are placing their stop losses below this level. Okay, and then right here, we have a little bit of a shorter term low there, but nonetheless, we do have traders that are buying, and usually they'll be putting their stop losses below this low here. So now we have what I call a bullish order zone. Again, I have tons of videos on this concept, so this is not going to be super in-depth, but I'm going to show you exactly how I use this indicator to make this strategy 10 times better. And so now we have my setup, a bullish order zone. And so usually I'll put an order to buy right at the beginning of the zone, stop loss below the low of the zone, and then the target is going to be new highs. Okay, so this is essentially the trade that I took 2 days ago, yesterday. So literally check my last live trading recap. So now we have this area called an order zone. Why do I call it an order zone? Because I'm basically guessing that where this level of demand is, and just below these lows, there are going to be orders present, buy orders specifically. So let's take a look at what happened when the market opened here right at 9:30 and how this trade played out. And watch closely because it's going to happen quick. Okay, this is not hindsight. This is literally a trade that I took. Okay, I bought down here and I sold even higher up, probably around here if I remember correctly. Okay, so it was a 3.71 to 1 risk to reward trade. Now, how in the world would I have known to basically buy this falling rock, right? I mean, you would want to never probably buy the market dropping as soon as it opens, right? But thanks to the indicator that I'm going to show you, I actually wasn't too worried about this trade failing. Okay, so let me show you another example. So now in this example, I actually didn't even use my go-to strategy because I was trying to pass an Apex evaluation account. I was just trying to take really quick, low risk, high reward trades to pass that account. And would you believe me if I told you that I bought, I don't remember the exact price, somewhere down here, right? You look at this and you're probably thinking to yourself, this is the worst trade I've ever seen. It is a falling rock. Once again, it is a falling rock closing at its lows, right? It couldn't look more bearish. And yet, it was basically the bottom of the day. I mean, this thing will just keep on going for pretty much the next few hours. Okay, so how is it possible that I took 2 trades this day, and these were the 2 trades? How is it possible that I bought at essentially what looked to be the worst time to buy, but ended up being the best time to buy? Well, let's take a look now at these 2 examples, but now we're going to take a look through the lens of the indicator that I've been hyping up this entire time. So here we are back to the first example. So how did I know? How did I know to buy right there at 24,685? Well, it's all thanks to this software. It's not even really an indicator. Depends on how you want to classify it. This software called Bookmap. So here it is. Here is Bookmap. Now, I know, don't click away. I know this is scrambling your brain right now, and you have no idea what you're looking at, and it just looks like a bunch of hot garbage, but bear with me, because this could potentially change your trading for literally the rest of your life. I'm not even exaggerating here. It is that good. So here we have Bookmap. What is Bookmap? Bookmap is essentially a heat map on the chart that allows you to visualize where orders are actually resting in the market, okay? Literally, it is taking orders from the data provider, from the brokers, from everything, right? And it is plotting them on the chart for you in a heat map, okay? The darker orange or red it is, the more orders were present at that level, okay? Now, this is not going to be a Bookmap tutorial on how to set it up. It's pretty self-explanatory. So this is the exact same chart that I showed you before, this example here. But now we have a heat map showing literally where orders are resting. So if you can make it out, this is the same trade. You can see a massive drop and then a continuation higher. So how do we actually use Bookmap? There are 2 main components on Bookmap. There's the heat map, the actual orders, and then there are the volume bubbles. So if I click on this right here, I'll actually make it easier to see. So right here, we have what are called volume dots, and I'm just going to make them way easier to see. So there you go. Now you have these volume bubbles. So those are the 2 components to Bookmap. So the heat map shows you where orders are. The volume bubbles visualize how many of those orders were actually executed, right? Because volume means that orders were executed. So the bigger the volume bubble, the more orders were executed at that price. And so imagine now that you can see where orders are, and then you can also see exactly where orders are being executed. So you essentially know that people are buying or selling at specific areas. That is pretty crazy. And yet you can do it. So back to this example here, I was looking to buy at 24,686, about that price, right? But I would just be guessing if I didn't have Bookmap. So what I did is I went over to Bookmap and I hovered my cursor over the price that I wanted to buy at, 24,686. Let's call it 24,685. And what do you know? If we just zoom in a little bit, you'll see a cluster of orders were sitting right down there at that price, 24,685. And if we zoom in again, you'll see that price came down, and look at the volume bubble, okay? Price came down, took out those orders or executed them, so buyers bought, and so that is the best, in my opinion, the best confirmation you can possibly have. You have a large amount of orders resting at the price that you want to buy at, and you see that those orders were actually filled, because sometimes you can fake orders, and that's a whole nother topic of discussion. But as long as you see price hits the orders and you see the volume increase, then you literally know people are buying there. Okay? And so it's not too surprising now that once we went through that order block, literally order block, if you trade ICT, this is literally an order block, not some chart pattern, okay? We went in, took those buyers, and then immediately skyrocketed higher. So now let's move on to the second example that I showed you guys. Once again, I mean, it just looked terrible. Buying down here, what are you, crazy? But it's not so crazy once you understand the logic behind this trade, which was again used using Bookmap. This time, it was not even using supply or demand or liquidity. It was literally using just Bookmap to give me information on what was happening in the market, okay? So I was looking to buy around this 24,400 level, okay? You can see right here, 24,400. Now, why was I even considering buying at 24,400? Well, once you understand how the market works, how the market is manipulated, how orders work, and how order flow works, it makes perfect sense. Let's go take a look at this exact chart, but now with the orders overlaid. So here we are on Bookmap, the same exact chart. I know it's hard to see the candlesticks, but they're there, and so are the orders, okay? Look at where we see a monstrous amount of resting orders. We see resting orders down at 24,400. We see resting orders at 24,410-ish, and a few resting orders around 24,425-ish. So if you trade ICT, for example, you now know that there is liquidity resting below these lows, right? These lows right over here, you can guess that there's going to be liquidity down there, but with Bookmap, you now know that there is liquidity down there. And so when we see what actually happened here, we see a massive move lower. If you trade ICT, this makes perfect sense to you. We see a massive move lower. We fill all of those orders, the liquidity sweep, right? We get this big volume node here, a big volume bubble. And then you see those orders completely disappear, right? Why? Because they were filled. So you can literally see that people's stop losses and institutional buyers had resting orders right here around 24,400. So it's no coincidence that once we take out all of those orders at 24,400, okay, literally stop in its tracks and we start to trade higher, you know that, okay, the majority of retail traders are probably now stopped out. Institutional buyers have probably taken that liquidity, and look at what happens after that. It is just a rocket ship higher. And look how clear that is. All of those orders, you get this massive candle in, and then look, there's no more orders resting there because they're in the market. They have bought into the market. Literally, you could see it visually. You are not guessing. So this is why it confuses me that nobody has discovered this, nobody uses this, nobody talks about this software, Bookmap. Because if you're an ICT trader, if you trade supply and demand, if you just trade in general, don't you think it would be useful to literally be able to see where people are going to enter the market, where buyers and sellers are? This is that tool, and it has completely changed my trading. And if you want to stop guessing whether orders are resting in an area or whether it's a good idea to be buying or selling at an area, you can even use it for targets. Let's say you were short this and you don't know where to buy to get out of your short. Guess where's the perfect target? Down here, right? And you would bottom tick that target. So if you're interested, go ahead and check them out and use code SIMPLE20 to get 20% off. The link is in the description down below. I was not affiliated with them for the longest time, but I had to be just so I can give you guys this discount code because you can't find discounts almost anywhere for this software. And so take advantage of it. Link in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you think about this software, if you've used it before or not, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.